NKU's a very good team. They seem to have our number. Um, the game, unfortunately, felt like even as it was a 15-point game down the stretch, it felt like moments we were in it. And then uniquely at the same time, it felt like moments we were never even close to them. So they just seemed to always, it was a back and forth game. Uh, it's one that unfortunately there haven't been too many this year, but it's one I wish we had back. I just felt like we had so much more to give in this game. We knew them so much better than what we showed, and unfortunately we just didn't execute, and execution was probably the biggest key in this game that we really left out on the table.
All right, so in the first half of the second quarter, the team only allowed 2 points. Was there any adjustment or anything in between the break that might have spurred that?
No adjustment. We just actually started to execute our game plan, and we came out with a mindset that we actually wanted to earn that stop, and it earned that opportunity, and it started to execute and show. And it actually even started that run for us. We even talked about it. Came even through the back end of that first quarter too. We really started to dial in after we gave up, I think, 17 points in 16 minutes. Then we gave up 6 points the next 8 minutes, which is something we were really proud of. But then, halftime they came out and it was the same story.
Coach, second straight game with a slow start. Was there anything that you could contribute to that, like just not executing the game plan, or was it something else there?
From the end of the game until now, I've been thinking about that, and I don't have the answer yet. I don't know what it is. I felt we had a good day of practice. I felt we had a great film session yesterday. I felt we analyzed, we watched what we did poorly coming out against Wright State. We focused on that. We didn't avoid it as coaches, and uniquely we came out even flatter this game. So, we called the timeout when it was 10-0, and we talked about every mistake that occurred from each possession, because there was a mistake that on offense and defense that led us to those moments. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't the lid on the rim. It wasn't any of that. We took the accountability for every moment, but we just didn't seem to be prepared for what NKU was going to bring, and that's the toughest part about it.
Coach, your team today shot 44% beyond the three-point line, but it seemed like most of the game it really wasn't a focal point of shooting threes until a couple of them late in the second half. Was that more of NKU locking down the beyond the three-point arc, or more of an emphasis on your team moving the ball inside?
No, we definitely had a focus of wanting to take the outside shot. They did a very good job of closing us out on the perimeter. We were very selective in our shooting. There were moments that we wanted them to shoot the ball outside, and we had the execution and the attack point for it. And their guards, credit to especially number 2, 3, and 11, they just close out ground so quickly that our team really prides themselves on not forcing the attempt. And when you really take quality shots, you tend to make a lot of them. So I would have loved to have that number go up from 10 attempts to 20 attempts, but I have to credit NKU that they did a great job there.
Can you talk a little bit about the seniors and how they've had their impact this season, especially through these last few games?
The seniors have been amazing. The seniors have had amazing careers here, each in their own way. To coach them as an assistant coach for 4.5 of Nina's years, 3.5 of the other two's years, but to have that opportunity to then coach them in the interim head coaching role and get to know them from that aspect as well too. They've just been spectacular as players and as people in that process. And this year may be the most difficult task because we've had 8 newcomers come into this group. And even last year through COVID, having to instill and try and build our culture up without practicing last year, it's essentially 10 newcomers, with Mackenzie and Sol being sophomores, and this being their first true year of 5 days a week, 6 days a week practice without shutdowns and all of those things. And they've remained steady the whole way through. They've been that guiding light. Even when we were down today, I heard their voices in the timeouts. They weren't hanging their head. They weren't ashamed of the score. They were the kind of players that wanted to continue fighting through, and it's a testament to who they are. It's going to be it's gonna be a tough day when they take off their jerseys for the last time and play their last game. It'll definitely be a changing of the guard and something I'm not looking forward to.
All right, their leading rebounder in a game where we were outmatched a lot on rebounding, 38-22 was the final number, and their leading rebounder only had 5 rebounds in the game. Was there a game plan focused on them, or was this more from their guards attacking the boards a lot?
We always focus on rebounding. That's really our measure of how tough we are. I always say there's no hiding in rebounds. You know, it's toughness, it's grittiness. Are you willing to hit someone? Are you willing to box out and go after it? To get out rebounded like that today and have them have more offensive rebounds than we had defensive was disappointing as a coach. We worked too hard to have it be this way. Rebounding is a team effort. Our bigs, I felt, did a good job of marking off their bigs, and unfortunately the guards did come flying in. You know, Lindsey Duvall had 11 rebounds, 4 of them offensive. They sent players flying in. We knew they were going to do that. We knew that they flew in for those actions. We knew Lindsey Duvall liked to score, and unfortunately she got rebounds and points against us today.
Scott, real quick, just kind of this being the last home game of the season, as you have taken on kind of the role as a head coach for this so far this season, what is something that you've learned from that, you specifically taking on that role this season?
Something I've learned from the head coach. Talking about myself is usually the harder part. Talking about our team, analyzing that area, I usually deflect from myself. I try and pour into our team as much as I can. The hardest part is, is wanting to give so much for them to succeed, and when the success doesn't come, and that's the thing I battle with. As you coach, when I was a foot over in the assistant role, the games would end, and I'd be frustrated if we lost, I'd be excited if we won, but it was done. I'd focus on my next opponent. In this position, I analyze every single thing I say, every single thing I do. Even after the game, I was talking to our coaches about what did we do from the moment Wright State was over to prepare us to have a better start. Where did we miss on that? I think about that constantly. I think about analyzing it a lot. It's one of those things that when they say the buck stops here, it truly does. I shoulder all that responsibility because being here, I truly do value the success of this program. I value the success of our student athletes, and knowing that they've worked so hard for that success, I want to give them everything to be successful. And so that's the part that when we leave here, I'll be up in the office thinking about what we can do, starting to design our next day, our next plan, and being prepared for that next moment, and hopefully having this be, like we talk about, that opportunity and that ticket to make us better. That's the next moment. Is NKU taught us about ourselves. Sometimes we learn through wins. A lot of times you learn more through losses. But is that loss going to change us, or is that loss going to strengthen us?
We have 2 more games on the road to cap off the end of the regular season. What are you expecting out of your team as you move forward, going on to the road and moving on to cap off the regular season, moving into the postseason?
Fine-tuning a lot of things. Being ready for execution. Being ready for that opportunity to continue getting better. It's that last chance for us to really, really find out who we are, because when the playoffs come, it's quick. And Horizon League especially, they're quick turnarounds. You are who you are by that point in time in the season. There's no putting in a zone defense. There's no any of that stuff. It's being who we are, being the best version of ourselves, being a great team, and then being prepared to put everything that we've done into that opportunity. We talk a lot of analyzing almost our basketball season like a class that they're in. It's by the end of the year, it's a comprehensive final. It's not a cram and dump type of thing to where you forget everything you've done. You have to bring everything that you have, that you've learned throughout that season, and be prepared for that postseason stretch and what it means.